Okay, so when we do the inkjet negatives and or the silver gelatin negatives that we do on the Lambda, it's difficult to understand if you're a layman with this, or even if you have done it before. There's a few key things that have to happen to make this work. So the first question is, what is a profile? Basically, what a profile in my world, okay, so I'm going to explain it in my world. Some of you may disagree, but that doesn't matter. I couldn't care less if you disagree or agree, because it's always different in everybody's world. But in my world, when we do profiles, we have a master file that has units of gray, in some cases 100 units of gray from 0 to 100. We have a range of color swatches, and in really sophisticated inkjet profiles, there's hundreds and hundreds of colors that we're reading. And basically, the file is put in to Photoshop. You print to your printer with the file at set settings, and you make a print. And then that print is then read by a profile making device. We use an i1 Pro spectrometer here, and we used to do it by hand. Very time waste, in my opinion. We now hire Angus Paddy from Color Management, and he has a i1 Pro device that is automated, and he can read 10 times as many swatches in the same amount of time that we would try to read 100 swatches. So the goal is for the printed material has known LAB values. So LAB is something that I work with a lot, and those LAB is lightness, A is the green magenta, and B is your yellow blue. So all color is based on LAB numbers. So if you go to a paint store, you read your LAB numbers. I mean, if it's a green, it will have a low A, which is a minus on the green, and so you're getting a lot of green. So the idea is to print out your colors, read them, and then the profile maker will adjust the colors and try to linearize them, which is a complicated word, but it starts pushing the colors, what it thinks, back to known values. So if we have gray like this on an inkjet negative, what we will do is we send to the printer 100 steps of gray, and then this Pictorico negative is then laid down on the platinum process that we've established at a known time, and we make a print. We then go take this the print then is scanned, and through the QTR system that we use, the computer says, well, this 0 is at 0, but 10 is at 15, and so on. 40 is at 58, 60 is at 70, and what will happen, it starts moving those points back to what they should be. And then you make a new negative, and you go through that step again, and you lay it down, and you make another print. And by doing this a couple of times, you start profiling your paper to the process you're using. Now, you have to be consistent with your process all the time, and once you have all 100 spots reading exactly the same, or I'm sorry, reading correctly, you've made a perfect profile. And in inkjet, it's very difficult to do, because it starts blocking up in the numbers higher than 100, and it's in the low numbers from 10 and below, it starts blocking up, and it's hard to tell the differences. And any above the 90, it starts blocking up as well, like spreading out too much. So if you think if you're an educator and your background is zone system, you know, from 1 to 10, you will get this pretty easily. It's something that is difficult to learn, but once you get it, and you can start making beautiful profiles. So the key is to make 100 steps here, whether it's on silver film or whether it's on inkjet material. Once you've got 100 reading here, that becomes your curve, or what we call a profile. So basically the curve then is recorded, and every time you are given a file, like we were given by the students, we look at the image, we read the numbers on screen, we know that certain numbers won't work, we adjust the file so that we know that the file looks good and is going to work. Then we invert it. We then flip horizontal so that when you lay it down, it reads right reading. And we then apply, we don't apply the curve in the Photoshop stage. So we save that inverted, flipped file. Then through the print tool device that we use, we call up the screen, we drag in the image into the screen. That is when we then apply the sizing that we want to the final size. So all of these were made 10 inches on the short side, fit on 11 by 17 sheet of paper or film. And then we go into the layout and we go into the QTR program. And at that point it asks us 16-bit or 8-bit. We say, well, it's a 16-bit file, so we print 16-bit. And then we go down and we look for the profile, and there we'll find the curve that we had made for here. We named it something, we give it a name, and it's for, say, Arches Platine, Platinum Palladium, regular mixture. So it's Arch Platine 2 or Arch Platine 3, and we apply that curve at the printing stage. And we make sure everything's reading right on the screen, which is, you know, all technical crap that I can't really explain right here. And you just hit print, and we'll go to that and show you how to do that next. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to adjust one of these files that I think needs some work. I don't know how much I can fix it, but this was a case where one of the students provided a nice image, but it's really hot. So I'm going to try to bring in some detail here, but the file, when you started reading all the numbering system here, was all above 95 in the highlight region. You can't send files to printers that are blown out unless you want it blown out. If that's the look you want, then of course that's okay. And that may indeed be what this student wanted to do. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to try to put a little bit more detail in here. This print is not positioned properly, so I'm going to make a new neg right now, and we'll show that stage.